of us staying at home right now, or hopefully staying at home right now, or choosing not to stay at home right now, and probably creating all kinds of problems for those of us that are staying home right now, I think recipes have become like a huge thing. I know for me, I've started making bread, and I know that's like the thing that everybody's making, but it's been great. I make bread a few times a week, and it's pretty fulfilling to make something yourself. I also have this Cajun chicken linguine recipe that I make that I love, and I think I'm probably going to make it for dinner tonight. What the hell does any of this have to do with photography? That's a great question. I recently discovered through Andrew and Danae's YouTube channel this thing called recipes for Fujifilm X shooters, and what that is it's basically baked in settings that you put into the custom settings of your Fujifilm X series camera, like this X-T20 here, to emulate old film stocks. Now, I shoot film on a regular basis, so part of me was like, well, why the hell would I want to do that if I can just go shoot that film? And 9 times out of 10, I think that is exactly what I would do. I would just pull out a film camera, I would get that film that I wanted to shoot, and I would shoot it. But there are some films that aren't available anymore that there are some recipes for Fujifilm cameras. So I decided to go have a look. I'm going to link below to where you can get these recipes from. There's a ton on there, and they're fairly consistent across all of Fujifilm's bodies. There's different versions for different sensor generations, but you can sort of use them on any sensor generation, and they're pretty consistent. So these recipes are all from Richie over at Fuji Weekly. Again, I'm going to leave that link below. Go check it out. They're really, really cool. I decided to pick 2 film stocks that I've never shot, but I've had quite a bit of experience with old family slides and scanning those and preserving them for my family. And I chose Vintage Kodachrome and Kodacolor 2. So I'm not going to tag which is which as I'm posting the photos as we're talking here. It's going to be really obvious because the Kodacolor 2 is 1/26 format, which is Instamatic, so they're square. So any of the square photos that you see here are the Kodacolor 2. Any of the 4x3 photos or did I shoot them 3x2? Anyways, any of the not square photos are Kodachrome, vintage Kodachrome. There's a few different versions of Kodachrome that Richie has, but this one I found was the closest to what I had experienced with using or looking at Kodachrome slides. So why would you do this? Why would you not just do this in post? Why would you not shoot raw and do this in post? You absolutely can. That's the thing with these recipes, is you can apply all of these settings in post if that's the way you want to do it. But the beauty of Fujifilm cameras is that their JPEGs are so good. I would say I shoot JPEGs probably 50% of the time, because the built-in film simulations or color profiles, whatever you want to call them, they're fantastic. And the JPEG output right from the camera is among the best I've seen out of any camera manufacturer. So if you go into your custom settings on my X-T20, I believe I have 7. So I set C1, which is custom 1, as my base, which is just my typical settings, nothing crazy, a standard color profile, standard white balance, standard sharpening, standard saturation, standard exposure compensation, all that stuff, just totally bog standard. And quite frankly, I'm probably shooting raw in C1 anyways, so none of that matters. But for the other 6, you can go through and permanently set those up to emulate these films. Now, the only things you may need to change as you switch between them is your aspect ratio and your exposure compensation dial, because they will vary between the different simulations. Now, I think that these simulations are great, and I'm going to try a few more, but the 2 that I've tried so far, they're very, very good. Do they look exactly like Kodacolor 2 and vintage Kodachrome? They don't, but they certainly give that feeling that those films had, that vintage look, the color palettes, the grain. It's just the way that they're rendered in the camera is very, very nice. And I know a lot of film shooters think that trying to do this stuff with digital cameras is just beyond ridiculous, and I was honestly one of those people until I tried this. And like I said, I think that if you're doing it with film stocks that are just not available anymore, especially with film stocks that even if they were available, nobody can develop anymore. Kodachrome, if you find old Kodachrome somewhere, you can't get it developed. It was a very specific technique to develop Kodachrome, and that's one of the reasons it went away, because it was so ridiculous to get Kodachrome developed. And as its use declined, the cost of actually developing it went just way over what it was worth doing, and Kodak discontinued it. So yeah, I think you guys should try these out. If you shoot with Fujifilm cameras, these are totally free. Go to Fuji Weekly, look up the recipes. There's a whole bunch. There's black and white, there's color, there's Kodak, Agfa, Fuji, Ilford, all kinds of different film simulations from different classic film stocks. Some of which are sort of still available, but for the most part, it's discontinued film stocks that, you just want to get that look and you can't anymore. I think it's worth giving it a shot. I don't know if this exists for other communities, say Canon or Sony or Panasonic or Olympus. I'm not sure if there is this recipe family out there. And quite frankly, as somebody who's shot Fuji for as long as I have, the fact that I just learned about it a couple of months ago is it even that long? I don't think it was that long ago. It was pretty surprising to me that I had never heard of it before. So I think that it's really cool, and hopefully you guys think the results are cool. I didn't spend a ton of time taking like the best photos I could, because with this whole lockdown situation, it's hard to get any sort of meaningful photography work done. So it was basically lunch break walks, rapid fire, and I only got through 2 simulations, so that should tell you how much time I had. But Fujifilm Recipes, I think that they are tremendous, and you guys should go and check them out. And I will see you guys soon. I have been struggling to make content, I think, like everybody else, but hopefully this sort of gets me back in the swing of things. I also do have some surgery coming up in just over a week. I'm finally getting my eye fixed. The hospitals and stuff here in where I live in Canada are back up and running, and my surgery's been rescheduled, so really looking forward to that. Hope you guys are all staying safe, and we will see you very soon.